He's playing control strategy.
Never in a rush.
And it looks like he's probably got this game where he wants it. There's a Thoughtseize. That's a lot of Heroes downfalls that he's looking at. Going to take care of the Disdainful Stroke, and now a Grind Clock. Yes! Aliantrazi may have had a little effect on Chihoi's deck building. Grind Clock is going to tick up. Look at this. And now, yeah, this is...
He's got a negate. Lock it up.
Chihoi is so happy right now. Tick up the Grind Clock, up to 2 counters. I guess this is the, I mean, he has Prolongation in his deck. I don't know if he has them after sideboard, and given the hand that we just saw from Charles, it wouldn't surprise me if he boarded them out, but with the Grind Clock, you don't really notice this is a card that was printed at M15. Maybe this is the win condition this deck was looking for.
Well, I was nearly at Grand Prix City defeated by this thing within Soul Artifact playing defense plus offense. So,
oh, wow, that's a combo.
Yeah, it's a 5/5 blocker, and you just keep...
And you just grind them.
You just keep grinding.
Wow.
Just keep grinding them, you know?
That's just good deck building.
I'm surprised to see this in Standard, but it is one of the more reliable ways to win the game if you do not want to put a creature into play.
Looks like Stay in the Mind is going to be negated. Here's a Dissolve going after negate, so... Chihoi looking at his hand. Looks like he's got a couple of counter spells, so Dissolve is going to resolve. Little scry action there. Dig Through Time is going to stay on top, and now Disdainful Stroke will take care of Stay in the Mind. So Chihoi does not want that resolving, and it doesn't look like it will.
I'm surprised that Chihoi here decided to tick up the Grind Clock. I guess if he wants to, okay.
Yeah, now you get him in the main phase, yeah.
I was going to say, with Charles leaving the card on top, I think you definitely want to use the Grind Clock.
Absolutely. Pluto Delta the draw instead of Dig Through Time. That's a big difference. Take a draw here.
I should have never questioned Chihoi's Grind Clock operations.
A Perilous Vault is going to come into play. See if this does resolve, and it will. Ashiok the draw here for Estomba. See if it resolves. It gets a thumbs up. Elevator is going up. Hero's Downfall will take care of that with the effect on the stack. So 3 cards are exiled, 3 cards that look like they don't matter very much. And again, we saw this last weekend. Just a touch from Aliantrazi. His build was pretty different. Might be the initial build of things. Ali had 4 copies of Dig Through Time and 4 copies of Treasure Cruise, along with 4 Thoughtseizes and 4 Despises. And take a look at Chihoi's list. He's got 3 Thoughtseizes. He's got a lot of removal. He does have 4 copies of Dig Through Time and only 1 Treasure Cruise. So he's changed the numbers around a little bit, but if there was one player I was expecting to see play blue-black control in the room, it is definitely him.
It is. I called Ali's build the thought experiment build,
yeah.
Which is, can you actually cram in 8 copies of a Delve card drawer into a control shell? Which he was able to do quite successfully. Chihoi playing a slightly more conventional list.
And this can't really surprise you to see him playing this sort of strategy, and given the kind of decks that he likes to play. It's a deck that did very, very well at the Pro Tour. Hasn't really picked up very much on the Open Series. We see it here and there, but for the most part, we see green mid-range decks, though there has been quite a bit of diversity lately. That Villainous Wealth is not going to resolve, we don't think. Yeah. Chihoi says, I don't think so. I have come equipped with counter spells. I cannot let that resolve. So a little counter battle won there by Yim. He's going to take up his Grind Clock.
I don't know. I would be surprised if Villainous Wealth was really good against Chihoi, though.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, Chihoi knows the contents of his deck.
Yeah, it's just, I think that it's got a pretty high fail ratio against Chihoi's deck.
Another Grind Clock going to come into play. So now we're really going to get to work on that library. Or perhaps his own, as Sultai Charm was the draw. Get you for 6. That is Sultai Charm. Just says, what are the modes on that thing? Can that thing kill an artifact? Yes, it can.
I believe Naturalize is one of the modes.
Absolutely. Yeah, it'll still happen. You'll still get those 6 cards, I believe.
Yeah, I think what they're arguing right now is if he destroys it in response to the mill, does Grind Clock have 0 counters on it when the effect resolves?
Yeah. And thankfully, that's why we have a spotter and a judge over there in the area to clear up any rulings that these players may have. So we will get a ruling on this as Grind Clock is going to work here early this morning from Atlanta. Surprise, surprise, to say the least. It's a really interesting win condition. The Pantheon did not have this.
No.
I'm actually surprised that this is not something Kunio didn't have. This seems right up his alley.
I don't know. This is still, I think, too much of a win conditions matter sort of thing. It's just too much of a pure win condition for Cuneo.
All right. I mean, I don't know how much they have to do on turn 2, but you slide that baby in there.
I think that it's good mirror matches, and it's possible they weren't really anticipating a lot of the mirror.
Sure. So this is where Magic is such a great game, because it's a card like this that gets reprinted in M15. You're just like, okay, what are they reprinting that for? Who cares?
Right. Well, it's just it's a pretty beloved casual design.
Yeah. Now all of a sudden we see it showing up here in a standard tournament, and it might be the card that wins Chi Yim the game. Stain the Mind is going to come down. The cranial extraction-esque effect. Perhaps lobotomy is a better reference. Either way, it's getting countered. Well, it's not, actually. Prolic Ancient's just going to bite the dust. So Chi is actually going to show Dissolve and say, I don't care that you're taking these.
Yeah, he might at this point just be assuming that the grind clock's going to be good enough to win the game. He doesn't really need to do anything else. Only has to fight over a Sultai Charm or some sort of other shatter effect.
There's a Radiant Fountain coming into play. I don't think that's a poor assessment of the board.
I don't think so either. Charles has to get something going. He's got nothing going right now. A hand full of reactive cards that don't do anything.
Yeah, Charles's hand, a lot of Heroes Downfalls. And just cards that really don't do much. Dismal Blackwater, going to gain a little more life. Tip the grind clock. Negate the draw. Yeah, if he can't beat this, he's in a world of hurt. Draw.
I mean, this game's gone on for a very long time, and Charles already has a pretty stocked graveyard.
Yeah.
So.
And more wastes. That's going to come in. Take it up. The question is, when do you convert from ticking up to milling?
It is just a straight math problem. But the math problem is so annoying that a lot of people don't bother to do it, and they just stop at a number that feels right,
yeah, that's
which
what
is
I do.
usually 5.
Yep, 5 sounds like a nice round number.
You can just noodle through the math. You can sit down and, get out your calculator and figure out exactly what the most efficient rate is. The equation can get muddled because maybe Charles uses a fetch land, maybe he has a card drawing spell, so it's not clean math, but you can figure it out, but most people just don't even bother.
Jace's Ingenuity is going to resolve. 3 cards coming here for Yim. That's a Despise. Take a look at the grip. A bunch of rubbish. Nothing even for him to take. Now he's going to say, Treasure Cruise? Yes. 1, 2, and 3. Thoughtseize among them. Temple. Top card. Time to look. To the bottom. Pass it back. Estomba will draw. Courser of Crewfix is what he's found. Can't imagine Yim cares too much about this one, but we'll see.
No, this is way too slow. And Chio is doing all this with a Perilous Vault still in play, so he doesn't have to move at all.
Perilous Vault, I don't think he wants to blow up.
No, I'm just saying that, he can mill Charles a couple times and try to hold on to the game and Perilous Vault everything away if Charles builds up a board.
Sure.
If Charles doesn't, then he can use the grind clock and just mill him out.
Of course, they're kind of interesting in this situation because it'll give away information on what the top card is if Yim wants to use the grind clock right away. We'll have to make sure the top card of his deck is always turned over because Courser's in play. But there go 5 cards. So there those go. Pass the turn back. Top card here. Temple. That is a mystery. I think that's a Dictate.
Yeah.
I don't see that very much. Dictate of Crewfix. Sure.
Dictative Karametric.
Or Karametric, excuse me. Thank you. Crewfix is the blue one that draws cards. Got to mill you 5 more. Now you no longer have a library. Now it is your turn. That's a Hero's Downfall. We're going to target this. We're going to target that with Stain the Mind. Or excuse me, with the Silence of Believers. That's going to do it. Chi Yim is going to win this match with his blue-black control deck. 2 games to 1, and he moves on to 2-0. A deck that, again, we don't see a lot of, but it wouldn't surprise me one bit to see him with that deck do very well this weekend.
And a demonstration of the